We each have two faces, a masculine and feminine, the ego and the self. So let's look at the distinctions between ego and self. The ego is the I, and the I is the boundary. The I attaches itself or identifies with a pattern. So the ego is that which clings, which defines itself as the pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. Whatever it is that you think you are in language is a pattern, or you can't describe it. I am the one that wears green, that is a male, that has this pitch of voice, that has this color skin. Each of these are patterns. I'm the one who thinks this, that votes for this, that chooses this, that eats this. So the I is that which defines and encompasses the pattern. Now, generally, and particularly in a chauvinistic-oriented culture, we define ourselves as the identity, as the pattern. I am this pattern. That's me. Those are my thoughts, my feelings, my words, my actions, my body, my presence, my being. That's me. But there's always the other part, the witness. When we talk to ourselves, when we witness ourselves, who are we talking to? Who is the one that witnesses the identity? Now, the identity is the masculine expression because a pattern is a series of particles, a series of shapes. A pattern must repeat in a defined way. And it is language that creates, that the pattern is made out of. Without language, you cannot see a pattern. You must define a shape and repeat it for there to be a pattern. The shape, the pattern, the form, the language, the I is the masculine expression of self. The witness has no shape, has no form. The witness is that which is aware of, that watches the pattern. The witness is the space out of which the pattern emerges. The witness is the infinite possibility field, probability field, out of which the pattern becomes the actual field. A field is a pattern. The actual field emerges out of that possibility field. The form that emerges out of the space, that takes place in space. And so the self can never be defined. As soon as it is defined, it becomes the I, the identity. The self is the space. The self holds the space. The self witnesses pattern emerging out of that space. And in that sense is the mother. the womb. The feminine is the womb out of which the form emerges. Now, in the leaning between self, we can be completely transparent, no words, no form, completely innocent, no identity, no clear thoughts, no beliefs, just presence. And yet presence doesn't have the structure to drive a car. You need to use a pattern to drive a car. Presence doesn't have the structure to speak. You have to have a pattern of sound, structured in language, to speak. So the identity is the mask, the structure through which we engage with the other structures, the other masks that house the energy around us. The self, the witness, is the one that looks through the mask and out of which the mask emerges. When we become too fixated on identity, on the pattern, this is who I am, this is all that I am. When the identity becomes an obsession, becomes a self-referential loop, then the world, which is comprised largely of energies much bigger than we are, becomes a scary shape, a threatening space in which who we are is threatened. Because as energy interacts with other energy in form, it is a dynamic interaction. Every relationship changes both parties in the relationship to one degree or another. We feel insecure in the ego, in the identity, in our awareness of how small we are in a vast universe. We feel traumatized, devastated, destroyed by the shifts in form, the shifts in identity. We become afraid of the other. The other is something to be kept out, destroyed, hidden from. So, as we engage with ego, with identity, we have a mask and can become increasingly competent to engage and influence the forms in our world. But we also feel insecure, understanding the innate fragility of every shape in relationship with shapes that are much bigger. On the other hand, the witness, the self, is indestructible. Because whether you're the witness looking at the pattern called death, or the witness looking at the pattern called birth, or the witness looking at the pattern called change, or the pattern called trauma, the witness is always there. The witness cannot be destroyed. The witness is that which looks through the mask that can be destroyed. And so to the extent that we identify with the witness, we are indestructible. But to the extent that we exclusively focus on presence without form, we are impotent to engage with the forms in our life. So we have this balance between self and ego, between the space out of which the form emerges and the form itself.